Alright everyone, welcome back. Now we're gonna be starting with the final process of drafting, finally, which is wireframing. Wireframing is a very general concept or idea or vision that you have of your application. It helps you with understanding how you would like to place things next to each other, how crowded it would look, how big the font you would like it to be, and so on and so forth. When wireframing, we're not going to be using the FigJam, obviously. We're going to be using an actual design file. So now we're going to get into the design aspect of it. I'm going to go back home, but before that, I'm going to name my project just to distinguish it between everything else. We're going to name it Bluetooth Keychain Project, just to make sure that it is something that we don't forget and we keep it organized. I know that sometimes we get too lazy to title our work, but I think it is very crucial for us to keep everything in track in order for us to be able to go back to the scenarios when we need to. So we're going to go back to the home button, and here we have everything that I've mentioned before. This is our recents currently, and we can see our project, our Bluetooth keychain project, in our recents because we were just working on it. We just open it and it is right here. One very important note that I forgot to mention is that this application automatically saves all of your actions. So you do not need to save it in any way. No Command S, nothing. Straight up, it just automatically saves everything that you do, which I personally find great. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new design file. Now that it is opening, please do make sure that your other project is also open for reference. And I'm gonna go ahead and skip this. We are now looking at a blank document, very obviously. I am going to be using some things but not explaining them very deeply because I'm going to be saving it up for later when it is more appropriate to talk about. Currently we're in the process of wireframing, which isn't very important for us to understand the functionality of everything in the design file. So I'm going to be very general, and obviously I'm going to be explaining the things that I'm going to be using, but I will get into deeper and more appropriate details later on in the course. So I'm going to go ahead and name this very quickly just so that we don't forget. And I'm going to name it Bluetooth Keychain Design. Right, so we have the project all set up, and then we have the design. What we're gonna do now is create the wireframes. So initially we have in mind that we're gonna be creating it for an iPhone user. So I'm gonna go ahead to the frame, this is the frame tool, and I'm gonna choose any iPhone, Android, we have all of the options here. I'm gonna just take a wild guess and use iPhone 8. I just pressed on it and it appeared. Now this is an entire frame, which we will also be discussing into deep detail, but this is your canvas pretty much. And when you're going to be playing your project to look at it, you're going to be looking at it through an iPhone device, just to make sure that you're using it in the right way, you're using it in the size that you're imagining it to be in. But we'll get into that in a bit. But for now, this is the iPhone 8. Looks great. That rhymed. And what we're gonna do now is start maybe like putting in a general concept, right? Maybe like I'm gonna start with using the Shapes tool. I can use any shape that I want. I'm gonna go with a rectangle because it is a very rough draft. I'm gonna start with the splash screen or the loading screen, and I'm gonna say that I want the logo to be here, and then maybe the loading screen to be right here. So now we have a general idea of how we would like the first page to be. Also, for shortcut purposes, rectangles are R, lines are L, and so on and so forth. You can see them all here. And if you want to remove something, what I did now is backspace. Now I'm gonna select the entire frame, which you can do from here or from here. And I'm gonna just Command C, Command V, Control C, Control V. Just to save up time, I don't want to keep going back to the frame and pressing iPhone 8 so that it produces another frame. And also, I think it places the frames in a more organized way. Now that I have the loading screen, we're gonna look into the login screen. So usually in iPhones, login screens have maybe like a small title at the top, maybe here. It says login, and then maybe like here is the boxes where you would put in your email, your password, so on and so forth. And then I copy pasted, and I'm just gonna add areas here. For example, here's where the remember me would be. You know, after you log in, sometimes there is a remember me checkbox. And then maybe under it is forgot password. And then I did Command C, Command V again, copy pasted, and I dragged the box a little lower, and maybe this is where it would say create a new user, and it would probably be smaller. It depends on the hierarchy that we want to go with. Usually iPhones don't really use up the entire bottom screen area just because it gets occupied with the keyboard. So let's say the keyboard roughly takes this area. Obviously, new users will not be pressing on username and password, but in case they do, they can remove the keyboard. That's why the keyboard area is fine with maybe covering the sign up or register bar, because it is less likely that a user who is using the keyboard now to log in to register. From there, we're gonna have like the keyboards come up and all, and after the person logs in, now again I'm doing Command C, Command V after pressing on the frame, and from here I'm gonna put the first screen that pops up after the person presses on that they're a new user. So that screen will obviously have email initially, very importantly, and then maybe password, repeat password, and then what else did we say? We said birth date, maybe name and surname. So name and surname usually comes before email, so we would just copy paste and then drag this, take it down a little, name, surname, email, password, confirm password, maybe birth date, Control C, Control V, and then now I'm moving it with my arrows, and this is the speed that you would be moving it in normally with arrows, but when you press on Shift, it moves it a little more drastically, which I find very convenient. So now that we have all of our windows estimated for the first scenario, oh no wait, we are missing one more. I'm pressing on the frame one more time, Command C, Command V. Before I forget, one very important thing is we should name our frames just to keep it even more organized. So maybe this is the splash screen. Or maybe you can name it as the loading screen. And then you have the login screen. You have the sign up screen, and then you have here is the home page, which we will edit now. I'm thinking I'm just gonna delete these. I'm thinking of just like having this as a key, Command C, Command V. Actually, I think the keys should be connected because this is what iPhone does. They just separate them by lines, and we don't need much details when it comes to wireframing because it's just a general concept like I explained. So now I can see here that these are the keys, and maybe here is where we would add a small bar that says dashboard, keys, etc., etc., just so that the person can move through them very easily. It's kind of like Facebook. At the bottom, they have home page, pages, groups, work, marketplace, and so on and so forth. This is going to be the navigation bar here, and we have set it up for the first scenario. Now moving on to the second scenario, we're going to be having both splash screen and login screen. So I just copied them, and here I am pasting them. And then let's go back and see. We're going to be pressing on keys. So it's going to be the dashboard again, the home page. Another hack that I should mention probably is instead of doing Command C, Command V, what you can do is you can press on the Option button for MacBook, which is the Alt button for PC or Windows. In this case, when you press on the Option button, you click on something and you drag it while holding your Option button. It creates the copy very easily and lets you place it wherever you want. You let go of the mouse first, and then you let go of the Option button, and you have your copy. This is also very effective for me, and I think I use this more often than copying and pasting because it helps me very flexibly place my frames. Now that we have the home page frame, the person wants to install a key. So what they would do is probably press on a button somewhere in these boxes and move on to the creating new key option. From here, we would have key name, key type, and choosing icon. So maybe the key name and key type would take maybe like this much, and then choosing the icon would probably take more because we are looking at a lot of icons. Maybe this. We'll look at how we would want to design it later on. And we want to keep in mind that there will also be a submit or cancel button. We can maybe move things around a little. Make sure that everything is well organized, obviously, because this is the most important part. Command C, Command V, one last time. And I'm gonna just have maybe submit here, and maybe cancel would be up here because iPhone does not typically have two buttons next to each other, unlike Android. So we're gonna avoid the confusion and work with the same system that iPhone uses. Now we're looking back and the person's submitting, and there will be 4 keychains installed, so it'll go back to the home page. Now we have the second scenario set. Now for the third scenario, it is not going to be very much complex either because it is going to have the splash screen. So I'm going to just take it down, and then it's going to go straight to home page. Now the lady is looking for her purse. So from the home page, she can see that her purse is part of the keys. Also, let me just edit this and write new key just to make sure. Home page with new key. So now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna have her press on the button. After she presses on it, she goes into a new page that shows maybe the purse, shows some sort of motion that I'm going to just press an option and take this here. And I want to show that maybe I want to put a visual of a purse here, and then like maybe some animation sort of, or something that shows that, hey, like we're helping you look for it. So I'm just gonna put 2 lines for now, but it's probably gonna be like circles going in and out, kind of a motion that shows that we're looking for it. And in this case, you don't really need the dashboard here, or like the option to go to your dashboard, just because you're now focused on one thing, which is looking for the key, and you're stressed, you don't want to see much. So we're gonna just, as a person who doesn't want to see much, we're gonna keep it as simple as possible. We don't want the person to look around the application nervously. And then maybe we would have the cancel button here, or done, or refresh, or any of that. And there we have it. This is the searching, or maybe buzzing, that's the right word. And then, you know, when she's done, she can stop it and it goes back to homepage. So this is the process of wireframing, right? We have very, very general blocks, no colors embedded, no text, nothing. We're just looking at a general idea of placement, just to make sure that we are aware of what we want to put, where we want to put it. Some things would go until the edge of the screen, others will not. Some things will be centered, others will not be. Maybe sometimes you have to work with 2 things in order to center the screen, and so on and so forth. And with this process, it's gonna help you have a clearer idea when you're designing. It's kind of like when an artist sketches with a pencil and then starts drawing with a pen, or painting with a brush and paint. It gives you a very clear foundation, and from there you're able to move on, start designing, and yeah. So this marks the end of our introduction session, which included a very brief introduction on how to approach users and what we need to do before starting the process of actually designing our product. And from there, we're gonna be working on the application itself. I want to get into deeper detail on what these things can do, on what the hidden features are, and very simple and straightforward techniques that will help you prosper in Figma as easily as you can. And we will be able to do that. And later on, after I explain the functionality of everything all around the application, we will be working on this project together and developing it even further. So for now, we're going to be putting the Bluetooth keychain design project aside. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the detailed features and try them around a little. After finishing that, we will be very happily working together on the keychain project. And then from there, we're going to be finalizing and looking at how it's going to be visually. Now that you've grasped the basics and understood how you should approach these things, you're now ready to understand the actual good features of Figma, and from there apply it to a project that we're all going to be working on together. Maybe below you can start by creating your own persona for this project, and maybe have a general idea of how you would like your persona to be, how you would like it to behave, and from there maybe you would be designing your own aspect of a Bluetooth keychain. Because even though they all serve a very similar purpose, some of them are dedicated to different personas and audiences. So if you're interested in creating your own version of the Bluetooth keychain application using very similar or maybe the same scenarios but a different person that would help you create in the way or style that you would like, please feel free to do so. What you would be changing, for example, in this scenario is the design. And the design plays a huge role in how a person uses the application. So for example, a gamer who uses this application would be appealed to different designs than a 35-year-old businesswoman. And this all comes to you and the way that you would like to research your personas, your characters, and so on and so forth. And if you want to get creative with it, then feel free to create your own persona. If not, you can use the same one that I have just created in the future. And I advise you all to have fun with it.